The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Good afternoon or good morning for our participants on the East Coast. Welcome to the OLIVConnect overview. My name is Drew Bartlett. I am the Director of Product Management and Marketing for Olive Software. And today is a quick overview of our new OLIVConnect portal, which we are in the process of starting to roll out. Today will be a quick PowerPoint presentation. I'll try to keep that certainly minimal. And then we will go into a quick walkthrough of the portal itself. As far as a few quick housekeeping items, this is being recorded, so if you're furiously taking notes, you will have a recording of the session available to you. If you are aware of folks who registered but had scheduling conflicts and couldn't participate, I'm also sending the recording to the registrants as well, so that should be to you a couple of hours after the webinar is completed. I've scheduled the webinar for approximately 45 minutes. I will try to get through the initial part of the presentation fairly quickly and then reserve probably about the last 15 minutes or so for Q&A at the end. So if you do have a question as I'm going through the presentation, please feel free to type your questions in the GoToWebinar control panel. Down at the bottom, it has an area to type questions in. I believe you and I are the only ones that will be able to see those, but if we do have any questions, I will be sure to distribute those at the end as well. And with that, if there's anything else you need, certainly let me know. So OLIVConnect, what in the world is OLIVConnect? Essentially, OLIVConnect is a cloud-based portal that provides publishers access to the Olive ecosystem, e-edition, archive, our other products. And the ongoing roadmap is to provide publishers and partners more direct access to Olive's publishing technology and services. In the first version of OLIVConnect, that's enabling you to take more control of your existing publications, but in an ongoing basis, more and more so, will be allowing you to actually create publications on your own if you so choose, and to spin up those types of things without necessarily having to involve Olive's staff directly. If you so choose. We'll always be here, certainly, and committed to a very high level of service, absolutely, but we want to enable our publishers with as much flexibility as possible. It also enables publishers access to deliver more intelligent content processing, publishing, distribution, and take control over monetization solutions for your print to web-based content. And then, as I mentioned, taking greater control over the configuration, features, and functionality of your e-edition, eventually your archive products, and then any ongoing products that we have rolling out in the future. That's a hint. We'll be having some additional product announcements upcoming that I think you'll be very interested in, and in the greater context of OLIVConnect as well. So in terms of the Olive ecosystem, OLIVConnect really kind of sits in the center as we incorporate and ingest your content and work through the publishing process and content transformation. OLIVConnect will also be the point at which you can manage your distribution channels as we bring more and more of them online. And then, of course, managing your monetization options, whether you employ those through Olive's revenue programs or you explore them yourselves. That's certainly something that will be available and which we'll get into here a little bit more. So relative, to the initial phase of OLIVConnect, it's about taking control of your publication, gaining access to analytics and usage reporting, access to the tools that we have available for content enrichment and editing of metadata, managing your ad tags, Paywall Control is a very popular feature enabled within UI configuration. If you're working to either streamline or maximize, your UI for brand alignment, certainly a set of tools available within the portal, and then supplemental page insertion, which we'll get into as an interesting opportunity as well. So within analytics and usage, Olive is standardized on the Google Analytics platform, but we provide quick multi-publication snapshots for critical metrics. So you can look at the publications within your portfolio and just get a quick snapshot in terms of performance and able to make comparisons to the others. You can also export this data for further analysis. In terms of UI configuration, the ability to manage aspects of your publication, right? Your brand alignment, what logos are in what places, what color schemes are being used, making those modifications, ad positions, refresh intervals, ad tags, user interaction configuration, article view configuration. We'll get into this a little bit more as we go through the demonstration, but certainly a very robust tool set to allow you to take control of what your publication looks like on our platform. Ad tag management, I did mention. So not only can you configure the appearance and positioning of the advertisements, but if you're using your own ad tags, we provide interface to actually edit those. So if your ad operations group is, changing technologies or you're troubleshooting different solutions and you want to take more direct control of that, we have those tools available as well. Paywall Control is a very popular feature within the OLIVConnect portal, and in fact was part of what drove this entire initiative to create this portal. We created a tool that allowed publishers to control their whether their paywall was up or down, and as we were testing it, we realized, there's additional features that we need to build to enable this control for our publishers, and it just kind of snowballed from there. So the Paywall Control, and in fact this screenshot is a little outdated, you'll have the ability to control your paywall both on your staging test environments and your production environments. You can schedule whether it's up or it's down to provide you as a publisher greater flexibility to accommodate things such as weather events that may happen in your market or marketing and promotion without you having to reach out to us to work through that schedule. Content enrichment, this is another one of the tools that we've had available for a while, but only some of our publishers have taken advantage of it. This is the ability to incorporate multimedia elements right within your publication, so video, web pages, links, photo galleries, etc. You can also edit the metadata of the publication if you have specific needs around that. And enrich your editorial content and possibly your advertising content to maximize engagement and message delivery, and really create an interesting and engaging e-edition experience. We do have quite a few publishers who are leveraging this technology and to great success, and so enabling this within the portal for all of our publishers was one of the goals of creating this portal environment. So if you participate in our Olive Ads program, we've also provided a dashboard where you can watch the performance of Olive Ads. It's informational. We're receiving raw data from our demand side providers, so we wanted to provide that information to our publishers as well. But the authoritative, payout reporting comes on a monthly basis. And then lastly, I mentioned page insertion, the ability to incorporate additional pages within your e-edition that are digital only. Again, this is another very popular practice with some of our publishers. It was previously manually done through emails to our production group, and now because it can be very effective both from an editorial engagement side as well as an advertising side. We've had a couple of publishers actually do contests through their e-edition to increase subscriber activation. There's a number of different things that you can use this for, and now we've streamlined the process for requesting the insertion of pages into your publication, and we'll get into that in just a little bit. Finally, within the portal, access to internal content publication or news and information, essentially, because this is a portal that we can be assured that it's only our customers who are accessing. We can be a little bit more liberal with the information that we're sharing. So there's a section of the portal specifically for that, news and announcements that we would make internally to our customer base as opposed to posting something on our website, which is great. It means we can communicate a little bit more in depth and in greater detail than we would, to the public, prior to launching of, let's say, a product or an upgrade or those types of things. And then lastly, the support area, access to our support documentation, access to the ability to create a support ticket, our contact information, all within one convenient location. So in the interests of not doing death by PowerPoint, especially because we do have a live portal to actually show you, I'm going to go ahead and get into the demonstration side of things. But again, as I'm going through, if you do have questions, your GoToWebinar control panel has a little area for you to ask those questions as you go through. Don't be shy. I will be addressing those at the end. But wanted to walk you through the basic functionality that I just mentioned in the PowerPoint. So what we're looking at here is the OLIVConnect dashboard. When you access the portal, this is the first thing that you see. In the left-hand side is access to the main areas of the portal itself, right? The dashboard, the tools for managing your sites, review activities, analytics, Olive Ads. If you're an Olive Ads customer, that's where that data would be. The news and updates area, and then the support area as well. Across the top, there's three little categories. Depending on your levels of permissions, there could be another one, but we'll get into that in a second. First is who you're logged in as and your ability to change your password or log off. Users, if you're an administrator, you have the ability to add or remove users and manage their permissions for all of the tools that I mentioned. We'll demonstrate that here in a second as well. And then the logging tool, basically every action that's committed is logged. So you have the ability to see who did what to what site at any point in the process if you need to, just for auditing purposes or if something was committed, that type of thing. For that purpose, it is very important that that you manage your users on an individual basis. It's tempting to use role-based accounts, meaning e-edition administrator at publication.com, as opposed to Bob Smith at publication.com. For that logging and auditability, certainly, but also from a security perspective, if any of those people end up leaving, you end up having to change the password and communicate that throughout your organization, et cetera, where it's just easier to manage on an individual basis. So the center of the screen is probably a bit more important to you all. On the upper left-hand corner, we have most popular. We judged the key metric here was by session activity. And essentially, this just gives you a very quick snapshot of the session information for your publication. This is all test data. These publications, their names are all prepended with SSPT, that stands for Self-Service Portal Test. These are publications that we created internally to enable us to test the portal before we start rolling it out. But within there, you can see basic trend data. If something was going horribly awry, you would be able to see it here first. And we felt that sessions was kind of the key metric that illustrated that. If you want to see the individual analytics for that particular publication, we do have direct access to your Google Analytics account from here. Or you can go to the Manage Sites section for this particular publication directly from here as well. So just very quick access to those tools. On the right-hand side is a list of the most recent publications that you have access to that have been recently modified. The thinking here is if you're making changes to a particular publication, you'll want to be able to quickly gain access back to those without necessarily having to go through a bunch of different steps. So as your publications get updated, this list will change over the course of time as you're engaging with them, or people within your organization are doing so. And then just below all of those metrics is a quick preview of the internal blog posts, so the news and updates that were recently posted within the OLIVConnect portal. So if there's something new, when you log into the portal, you'll be able to see that there's a news story immediately and can further explore that. So, I apologize. There is a timeout on the OLIVConnect portal for security purposes. I believe it's set at about 20 minutes of inactivity. And of course, I've been idling here, getting the webinar started and that type of thing. So it will log you out. We do have support for the browser remembering usernames and passwords, so hopefully that won't be too much of a problem, but we wanted to make sure that there was a timeout function simply because many of the tools that are available within the OLIVConnect portal are pretty powerful, and we wouldn't want them falling into the wrong hands, certainly. So as I navigate to the Manage Sites area of the portal, we're presented with a few different tools and options. If you have multiple publications that you're managing and multiple instances of Oliv's technologies, so multiple products that you're taking advantage of, most publishers have ODN, which is our daily edition Olive Dynamic Newsstand, and very frequently they'll have APA, our archive product, associated with that as well. So you'll usually see that, and it's listed right within the listing of the publication that you're looking at, right? The name of the publication and what product, as well as the logo being pulled in, but that might be the same for both products. You can filter by which products that you can see. So, for example, APA versus ODN versus no selection, and it will mix the two. The first areas of, we'll just take this particular publication as an example, the Brainerd Dispatch. Actually, let's just look at ODN stuff, since that's the most immediate. And of course, it's being tricky for me. Anyway, so the first thing that you see, again, is the repeat of that snapshot data, engagement information. It varies, of course, quite a bit by different publications and different sizes, but we just wanted to give you a quick visual depiction of what engagement looks like currently. And then the first thing that you see is status, access to the product that you have right off the bat. There's 3 different buttons under this status area. The first one allows you to access the staging environment. Staging is that it used to be called sample. If there are changes that are being made, we make them to staging first, so that they can be tested, that approvals can be sought, those types of things. And this provides you a direct link to that staging environment. Some of our publishers like to turn on their paywall for their staging environment, and this portal accesses from behind the paywall, so behind that authentication structure, so you don't have to have a username and password to get through the front door. You're coming in from behind, and that's how we do it here. The same is true for view production. This is actually the e-edition or the archive that your readers will see directly. And then the third button in this area is View Analytics. This allows you to log into Google Analytics and see the activity for that particular publication. You have to be logged into Google Analytics, so if you're not, when you click View Analytics, it will prompt you to log in if you're not already. The next area, and for this particular publication, the current tools aren't set up to modify the archive product for user interface. Of course, there aren't currently ads deployed within the archive product, and I've disabled smart layers for this particular one. So the only tool that's turned on for this particular archive for this particular user is the Paywall Control tool. But I will let's get to a publication that has all of them turned on, which is one of our demo sites, I believe. Well, maybe I'll log in as a different user. But we'll look at this particular test skin. The first management tool that's available here is the user interface tool. This allows you to modify the user interface. I'm going to walk through these tools in a little bit more detail in just a second. Second is manage ads. This is where you can actually manage the ad tags themselves. If you are using your own ad serving platform, we will enable this tool for you. If you're an Olive Ads customer, you won't have access to this tool because we're doing the monetization for you, and we wouldn't necessarily want you to be messing with the tags, prevent any downtime there. The third, of course, is the paywall. That's the ability to put up the paywall or take it down. And then the fourth tool in here is the Smart Layers tool, which is that content enrichment tool that I mentioned before. So let's hop into the user interface tool. This is probably one of the most complicated tools within the OLIVConnect portal, just because there's a lot of options that you can choose to modify. So let's take a quick tour here. So what we're looking at is the test skin for the Dayton Daily News, and this is not the real one. It's just a copy that we made for our testing environment. And you'll see on the right-hand side, there's this panel that provides you, the first option it provides you is the ability to manage the colors. This is the application UI colors. In this case, it's a lot of blues, which is representative of their brand. You can manage the toolbar background, toolbar icon colors, toolbar icon mouse over color, right, which can be a little bit different. The current view icon background, meaning this is the selected view and it's dark blue, and the color of the current view icon. So in this case, on the mouse over event or the select event, it changes the color of the icon to be opposite. Article view icon color, and then you can manage other aspects of the e-edition's color as well. These color pickers are gamut based, but as you can see right here, we do have the HTML value. You can input a hex value in there as well, and use that. So let's say in the reading area, well, actually, let's do the bottom panel. So this bottom panel down here, if I wanted to make that into olive green, that is a hex value of 769,359, and there it is. And if I choose choose, of course, it doesn't do it for me. But that's how you select those colors, and it should update in the publication. Actually, let's change the. I think you get the point there. And you can also reset those colors all to what is currently installed. So if you're just playing in the environment and you have made a bunch of changes that you have no intention of actually committing to the environment, there's this nice reset colors button down here at the bottom that will allow you to take it back to what is currently on the staging server. If you've made a bunch of changes and you actually want to apply them to your current skin, this apply button that's up here at the top will commit those to the staging environment. So it hasn't affected your production environment yet. Your readers won't see this yet, but your internal staging environment will have this. And so if you want to socialize that link around your organization for approvals and those types of things, you have that ability. You could either do that through OLIVConnect, or down here at the bottom, there are links to the staging environment, and those are authenticating links, meaning they will go in through the back as opposed to through the front and your paywall if that is currently enabled. The next element is config. This basically is the configuration of the application UI. So things like the table of contents, this one has a table of contents enabled right here. It gives you the choice of enable it in the toolbar, the left rail or the right rail, or you can turn it off altogether. If you have a left rail or a right rail, these things are enabled right here. And then you have choices that you can make for the top of the left rail or right rail and the bottom of the left rail or right rail. And those choices are an add, external code, or a widget. External code, these rails are essentially iframes. So you can paste whatever code that you might want to in there. Please try to make sure it's responsive code and that it's been tested, because this is a constrained area. We've had some publishers put their entire responsive website, news.com website, in the left and right rails. Most publishers, if they're doing something custom in there, will enable a widget, like an RSS feed type of widget. And then most publishers choose either the left or the right, but you certainly have that flexibility here. The next area is back issues. You can choose how many back issues. Maximum is 30 within our daily edition product. And then we defer off to the archive product. And then you can make an indication, is this publication a daily, a weekly, a monthly, because some are different than others. The last thing is we have the option now, well, we've had it for a while, that some publishers prefer to have a single-click experience to open the article view. Some prefer to use our default double-click to open the article view. In this particular case, typically this is checked as on, that double-click is the default experience. In this particular case, they've chosen a different approach, and they're using single-click as well. The next tab over is authentication. You can choose which authentication scheme that you're using and set your referring URL and secret passphrase. So that's pretty straightforward, but this is not the area that you choose the paywall on or off. That's actually the paywall tool. Next is layout. By layout, we mean you can define what the initial view is for the reader's entry experience. So when they log in to your e-edition, if they're on a desktop, you can choose, of course, replica is what we're known for. But if you prefer, you could make that dynamic view or our digest view. Because we've chosen replica, you're provided the choice of what replica mode, so fit to width, fit to height, or two-page view. So if on desktop you want two-page view, but on tablet you want fit to height, you can certainly do that. And on mobile, if you wanted fit to width, you can control all of those right here within this control panel. As we go down, you can control the scroll direction. When we first launched ODN, it had a vertical orientation, and we got a lot of feedback that we also wanted horizontal as well. Horizontal is the default, but we do have some publishers who prefer a vertical scroll direction. So you can take control of that right here. You can also upload different logos. Your favicon is the little icon that appears in the in your tab bar for different applications, and that's usually an important part of publishers' branding. We also use that favicon on the mobile versions of your ODN when it responds and scales down to mobile sizes. In order to make the maximum amount of available space, we swap out this logo with this square logo instead, so it still provides great branding. But the point being, the favicon is a very important part of your branding. And then the last thing is, do you want a splash screen enabled? The splash screens basically are typically about a 300 by 250 sized. Many publishers use animated GIFs. It can be a straight JPEG, those types of things. But they are the screen that you see when the e-edition is loading. And you can change that as frequently as you want. Next is ad configuration. So your choices here essentially are add positions available within the e-edition. So there's within the article view, there are two options. There's after article and inside article view. Those two are let me go ahead and actually open an article. The 300 by 250 that's available right here is the inside article view. And then the after article position is all the way at the end. You can see this white space right here. There currently isn't a tag in there, but it is enabled in this skin. The banner add position right here is at the one that typically appears at the top. Most people recognize that as a fixed 728 by 90. Nothing is showing here right now because this uses this publisher's ad tags, and they don't have anything flighted to these test tags right now. But your options are, it can be a top static fixed position banner. You can mount the ad to the top and it slides, it opens up basically, and can be dismissed by the user. Or you can change it to a bottom sliding position. So it pops up from the bottom and you can dismiss that ad position as well. I can show you an example of that on the Denver Post here in just a second. So when you select that, you have those choices to make. And then the last option is interstitial, or at least currently. Interstitial is a little bit complicated insofar as you have a lot of choices as to where the interstitial will appear. Essentially, you can choose that the ad appears before the front cover, after the back cover, before a particular page number, after a particular page number, before n number of pages in the section. So if you want it to appear after the second page of every section, you have that choice, which is this one right here. So before and after in that case. So if it's the first page of the section that you want the interstitials to appear before, you can certainly do that, or after. Or you can choose every n number of pages, so every third page. And then you can indicate after page number. Then next below is these banners and rail ads. You can choose the refresh interval. You can either do it by page turns or by the number of seconds. So after X number of page flips, or for each, every X number of seconds or page flips, you can control it that way as well. And then the last thing that we have available here is you can control what buttons are available in your menu simply by selecting these checkboxes. If you have a video for your help file, when this field is populated under help, we have drop-down menus that are available that you can actually incorporate a menu item that is a help video, as well as contact us. You can populate your contact us information for your customer service group, and that menu item will appear under the help drop-down as well. And then there's another section for the article view buttons. So when you're in article view, you can control what buttons appear within this view. Some publishers don't like having the image view available. Some don't want you to be able to print. Whatever, you can turn it on or off. That's up to you. So once you've made all of your changes, again, when you click apply, that gets committed to the staging environment. This deploy button, however, this is what will push your changes to your production environment. Basically, it makes a copy of what's on staging, the changes that you most recently made, and will push them to your production environment. That action can only be taken between the hours of noon and 4 a.m. Mountain Time. The reason that we put that hard kind of condition in here is because we don't want people making changes to their publications during their peak consumption times, right? So 6 a.m. on a Monday probably would be a really bad time to make some UI configuration changes. So that button is not enabled during those peak periods, but will be enabled all of the other time. We are working on the ability to actually allow you to submit changes at any time, and they will be queued and then deployed during those non-peak hours. So you won't necessarily have to wait in order to request the commit of those changes to your production environment. If you have changes that do need to be made immediately to your publication, that's when you give us a call. You file a ticket or you call the answer center, and we'll get one of our professional services folks to make those changes and push them to the production environment. So, as I had mentioned before, that particular publisher has their own ad tags. Oh, of course, it's because I think because I didn't make any changes. Well, let me go ahead and go into this one. Okay, so this particular publisher manages their own ad tags as well, coincidentally. And this is the interface that allows you to access those ad positions that we just configured in our layout. Basically, in the layout, we configured the layout to make those positions appear. Now we're going to fill those containers, if you will, with the ad code. There's two different approaches. First of all of the ad positions that are enabled will appear in this dropdown. And then we have a little map here that you can click on, and it will describe for you what positions are named what. Essentially, the positions that are enabled are described here. The next selection is kind of a technical matter, and so typically this tool will be in the hands of your ad operations people, but they can choose this. Is this particular ad a Google DFP tag, or is it some other platform? If it's a Google DFP tag, you can actually enable the ad tag to be called via its path. So that's just a simple little string rather than pasting in all of this free-form code. You do have the option to paste in the explicit code. So we're not limited to Google DFP by any stretch of the imagination. But for the purposes of higher CPMs and better exposure to the ad exchange networks, Google has requested that we implement it this way within this environment. So either way, you have both options. You can save this information. You can preview the ad. So there's a preview of that particular ad tag being called right here. Click close. And then again, you can deploy. If I made a change here, this button would be enabled, deploy the ad configuration to staging, and then deploy to production as well. Because ads are a little bit more sensitive, I don't believe we currently have the deploy to production blocked at the moment, especially because this is just a little section of code inside the configuration. But typically, I believe this deploy to production button would also be blocked during off hours. I need to find out if that's going to be enabled as a specific restriction as we deploy this. You also have the ability to pull down the code that was currently on production to reset the staging environment to that, or cancel any changes that you may have made. So that is the ad tag editor within OLIVConnect, accessed through this Manage Ads interface. The third thing is the Paywall Control tool that I mentioned. This one is simple yet powerful. As I mentioned before, so it provides you two interfaces. The first one is to control the paywall on your staging environment. Again, that's if you want to lock down your paywall. And then the second is for production. You can turn it on and off with a simple click, certainly. Or you can schedule when the paywall turns on or turns off. So if I wanted to turn on the paywall for a particular date, actually I have to select a date. Sorry about that. Select a date here. I want it to turn on Friday the 4th at, and I have my little time picker. Let's say it's 12:45 p.m. On Friday the 4th. I select my time variable and my date variable. I click schedule, and it actually writes that little action right here. And then if I want to turn it back off on Saturday at 5 a.m. Saturday the 5th at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 a.m. There we go. And I can schedule that. And basically, it will go through this little checklist, turn it on, turn it off, etc. If I've created a rule that I don't necessarily want, all I have to do is select it, choose delete. It asks me to confirm. And then that action is deleted out of the system, and nothing will happen. So that's the Paywall Control tool. Many publishers just prefer the single click, but we wanted to provide some scheduling flexibility just in case you wanted your paywall to go back up at midnight on a particular night, say you're running a marketing campaign or those types of things. There's also a quick little link here that for the configuration of your authentication, meaning your authenticating URL, your secret passphrase, or if you're using Piano, different API keys, those types of things, you can access those via the user interface page. And we have a link there to gain access to that. So that's the Paywall Control tool. And then the last one is Smart Layers, and it looks like actually I don't have, oh, I do have a demo site set up to access Smart Layers. Or maybe I don't, maybe it's this one. There we go. So when you click on that, we have to go to Smart Layers here. And it opens in a new tab. The Smart Layers interface is fairly robust, and so we wanted to provide the maximum screen area available and possible. Many of you have seen Smart Layers, so I won't do an end-to-end demo here, but basically when you log into Smart Layers, you choose your publication, you're presented with a thumbnail and a date-based navigation. You go into a particular edition. This viewer is the same viewer as ODN uses, but you have your thumbnails on the left-hand side, and it provides you the ability to edit, to incorporate multimedia elements. Here I've incorporated a video right within the e-edition, and of course you can preview it as though you're a reader as well. When you've made your changes, you check them in through the Smart Layers tool itself, and there are no restrictions on timing or anything like that. Those changes are committed to the publication in real time. So a slightly different experience here within the Smart Layers environment, but one that we made in order to make sure that you have kind of a better user experience with that tool. Originally, it was embedded within the portal environment, and so it minimized the layout, and that was problematic as users were trying to add visual elements to a publication. So the last thing is the Managed Sites tool, or within the Managed Sites environment, is the ability to request a page insertion. Essentially, PDF pages right within your publication that only appear within the e-edition, so meaning they don't necessarily have to be printed. We have a lot of publishers who have had great success with this. You're provided a list of the publications that you have access to. So say it's my Paul demo here that I want to submit a PDF for. The first things that you choose are the start and the end dates. So what publication do you want it to appear in? Let's say it's tomorrow's newspaper. So the beginning to end would be the same day. The next question you ask is where is it going to go? So you can either insert by page number or by section name. If you choose page number, you have to choose, is it going in before a particular page number or after a particular page number? So let's say this is before page 1. That's all you have to do. You say insert by page number before page 1. If you wanted section name, of course, because every publication has different section names, this is more of a free text field. So, it's again before or after. So let's say it's after section name sports. There you go. This tool essentially is formatting an email that goes to our production and production staff that processes pages overnight. So this actually becomes a human-readable email that is sent both to you, the user who is submitting the request, and to our production folks. So you both have a record of the request. When you are requesting a page insertion, you have to give it a page label. Many publishers, will say something like special insert or advertisement, or if it's like a native ad type of thing, which is how many publishers are using it, or extra digital only and only content, those types of things. This is what will appear within your table of contents and within the page numbering scheme as you're turning the pages. And then lastly, any notes that you might have, please link pages to newspaper.com. Anything like that that you need to tell our production staff around what to do with it. If you already know your URL, I would highly recommend in the creative that you are submitting that you go ahead and you embed your URL within that already, and that will be picked up by our segmentation process. So the last step in all of this is to actually choose the creative. If you click upload and choose file, you can go in there and then it's just, you browse to the PDF file and it will connect it here. If you are doing multiple pages, please zip up those files so it is a single file. The multi-file upload tends to kind of create some problems in the translation, so it's just easier to choose a single zip file for that. All right, so once you have selected the file, you just click submit. You are provided a confirmation email, and that goes to our production group. The production group will acknowledge receipt of that email and confirming that they have received it, and off we go. The next area of the site, and I apologize, I know I'm running a little bit long here, but the next areas are much more brief. The tools section is kind of robust. So if we go to review activity, you're presented with basically the analytics for all of the publications that you have access to under your user permissions. Again, you can choose by application. You can filter by site name. So I can choose, FOORIDA, and it'll filter by, Florida. If it's blank, it'll show you all of them. And then you can also choose by date range, last week, last month, last quarter, most recent 7 days, most recent 30 days, and it will redraw all of your graphs and provide you some quick access information. Users is a unique value that is calculated. It's unique users. So when you choose a variable date range, right? So last month, that is a fixed date range. We're talking about, the month of July. So it's, July 1st to July 31st, and you can calculate how many unique users occurred within that time period. When it's a rolling time period like this, most recent 30 days, that's why this number is blank, because that's constantly being recalculated. And rather than us messing with that data, we would rather you hopped over to Google Analytics and actually see how they're recording it in real time as opposed to our calculation. But it does provide you the other information here as well. How many sessions have happened, and that's, of course, what's showing in this particular graph. But if you choose page views instead, it will redraw the graph according to that particular metric, and it will also, if you click it a second time, it will sort for you on any of these variables. So you can choose page views, users, sessions. So if I go to last month, again, our users are there. So if I click that, the graph changes to users and it will sort by that value and give you a quick snapshot of that. So duration as well, average duration is calculated by Google Analytics. The last thing in this area is, of course, the button that I mentioned that goes to Google Analytics, the Manage button, which will take you to the Manage sites, so you can gain access to those tools. And then the last thing on the very right-hand side is this checkbox that is for comparisons. If I choose that, it draws a much larger graph of the highlighted variable that we're looking at, and you can multi-select across different rows and see a visual depiction of this is page views, and page views varies pretty dramatically on a daily basis, but you see that mapped out visually on the right-hand side. As you scroll down to the bottom, you are provided quick totals on the page views, sessions, unique users, and average duration for all of the publications that you have access to. You can export this data into an Excel spreadsheet. or you can print it. These aren't pretty reports, but usually if you're creating a report and you just want the raw data that's being presented here, that's what this button is for. Printing it just gives you a hard copy to be able to share. In terms of Olive Ads, it's very similar in terms of the KPIs being reported. Again, we have those site name search filters. We have the ability to filter by date ranges, but you're provided, and again, this is sample data, you're provided revenue, the number of impressions served, the average CPM that's being derived here, and then you can visually depict those as well by checking those boxes. You can export them, you can print them, etc. That's only available to you if you are participating in the Olive Ads program. Everybody will be able to see the review activity tool. The last area of the portal, news and updates. This is, again, essentially a blog that we will be posting any news related to our products, any upcoming releases, scheduled maintenance windows, those types of things. Again, we can be a little bit more liberal with what we say here because we recognize that we're talking to customers only, as opposed to what we would put on our website or do via a blast email, those types of things. To read the article, you can, of course, click the button and it takes you into the full article. What's in there right now is a video overview of all of the areas that I've just gone over within the OLIVConnect portal. So if you're sitting there furiously scribbling notes on how to use the tool, relax, you have all of that right within the news and updates. But then the last element of the portal is the support center. Gives you the ability not only to look up documentation, and we'll be putting links to those videos in here as well, but support links, links to PDF documentation, our contact information if you need it, and the ability to actually submit a support ticket. When you click on this, it launches our Salesforce support portal. I actually have an internal account, so that's why it logged me in using that view. But we do have more direct access for that. Everybody who gets an OLIVConnect account will be registered with a support portal account as well, so they'll all be able to submit support tickets. So I did go a little bit over, and there is one question that has come in, so if you do have any questions, I'll go ahead and go through those now. Again, I'll be sending out this recording after the webinar is over in case you missed anything, if anybody had to hop off, etc. So the first question is, will the Paywall Control tool replace the authentication process for subscribers? No. So what this does is it turns on authentication or turns off authentication, and it's your paywall currently. Olive just recently announced, I don't know if you got the newsletter, that we will be offering our own paywall coming up shortly. We're still wrapping up development of that, and that will be one of the other tools that will become available within OLIVConnect. But when you turn off your paywall via the OLIVConnect tool, what it does is when they go through to the URL for their e-edition, they won't see the paywall at all. Because most of the time users are authenticating through, they'll go to our URL and we redirect them to your paywall to have them log in or to have them subscribe. It just turns off that mechanism so that we don't engage your paywall at all, and they'll just go right through to the e-edition. So it doesn't replace the authentication process, it actually suppresses it. When the paywall comes back up, it goes through that redirect process again and honors your paywall. I hope that answered your question. The next question is, are there any tools to replace pages as opposed to inserting? This is a great question, and this one comes in from a lot of our customers who want to be able to either do corrections or replace an entire page. Oftentimes it's fixing typos or those types of things. That is on our roadmap. That technically is a very, very large and complicated process. But our archive customers, as well as our daily edition customers, are looking for the ability to make those types of corrections within the content, replace visual elements, etc. So that is something that we are in active development on, and hopefully should be rolling out sometime early next year. That is an extremely powerful tool for, essentially it controls your content processing workflow and the content itself. So we would certainly want within your organization have that tool very much restricted. It will also be fairly in-depth and technical. So it's definitely a tool that is coming, but will be very powerful. The next question is, when will OLIVConnect be available to us? So this is, it's currently available in limited forms to anybody who had access to the Paywall Control tool previously, or the ad tag management tool, which was a standalone tool, and I believe Smart Layers as well. Anybody who had a Smart Layers account, we sent out a notification for, because we're consolidating access to those tools through the portal. With this call, you do have the ability to request access to the OLIVConnect portal. It is widely available. The tools that will be embargoed for the moment, let me hop back in here, are the user interface configuration tool, and I think the insert page tool we're turning on right now with this particular webinar. We're enabling that for all of our customers. But the user interface tool, you might have noticed I ran into a couple of small hiccups when I was doing my demo. We want to make sure we have those very polished and refined. So that will be something that we'll turn on as soon as it's being released. But long story short, if you would like access to the OLIVConnect portal and you have not received an email letting you know that you're going through or your logins have been changed for the standalone tools into the OLIVConnect portal, submit a ticket to our support group, and we will get you set up with an account and access to that URL, etc. We'll basically consolidate your account through the OLIVConnect portal. The next question is, you might have covered this, but can we manage placing a special section or subscriber exclusive product that initially appears in the daily paper, moving it to a permanent home in our special sections subsection? So what I believe the question is the ability to move something that may have appeared as an insert in your daily edition to a separate repository that is only for special sections, and it has its own skin and that type of thing. Currently, no, this tool doesn't provide that ability to manage what content appears in what repository. But as we create these different tools, that will be part of the process, meaning the ability to upload content and process it yourself, particularly for things like special sections, is definitely what's driving that ability. Is one of the driving use cases for our ability to expose our technology to you, the publisher, and be able to kind of do things much more rapidly and on your own. So when that rolls out, yes, you'll have some ability to actually process that content into that special sections repository, as well as being able to add it or request its insertion into a particular publication. It's kind of a complicated one, and I apologize if I didn't answer that thoroughly. If you'd like to, please feel free to either ask again or reach out directly, and we can kind of talk you through it. So Sharon Ryoji, our Senior Director of, is it Customer Success or Enablement or something like that, Operations, has submitted a comment. Basically, you request access by submitting a Salesforce support ticket. So that is how you request from her organization. And then the last question I have at the moment is also from the same person who asked about moving special sections from the daily edition into a special sections repository. So would that, for now, just be a support or production request? Absolutely. That's you would basically submit a ticket that just says, please move this particular content into this special sections repository, and we'll move that for you on your behalf. So again, I do apologize. We're sitting at right at an hour. I was hoping to keep this to about 45 minutes. We don't have any other questions at the moment, and this is a good time to hop off, I think. So if you do have further questions, please feel free to email me. I was actually the response reply to address in the webinar invite, so that email will get to me. I'm happy to reply to any other questions you might have. If you, again, want to request access to the OLIVConnect portal, just submit a Salesforce ticket via your administrator or centralized administrator. And if you do have any other questions, of course, we're always available via the ticket submission process, of course. You can contact me, or, of course, your sales reps have all been trained on this as well. And if they don't know the answer, they can certainly track it down. But I do appreciate your engagement and your patience for me going over a little bit and your participation today. We really hope that you enjoy the OLIVConnect portal and the additional tools that will be coming in the future. So thank you very much, and we look forward to serving you more. Bye-bye.